I tried Pokemon Sleep for a week, so I made a whole video based off of sleep. I always hear how important sleep is, but maybe understanding it can help me appreciate its importance. You can call me Nordist, and I'm working on my own creature collector based off of science topics, and I wanted to make a creature based off of sleep. But before I show my own design, I'll go over how sleep is represented not only in Pokemon Sleep, but also the mainline Pokemon games, from gameplay mechanics to creature designs. So let's start off with the past Sunday, when I downloaded Pokemon Sleep, named my Pikachu Bob, and went to bed. In order for the phone to track my sleep, it would need to go on my bed. Not gonna lie, this step always freaked me out because the app warns me to not let the phone under the pillow or blankets. I don't know where my phone ends up, I'm asleep. Also, the phone's right next to my head for hours. This can't be the best thing to do, but the alternative is spending $55 for an accessory. So I just said goodnight to Snorlax and Bob, and slept. I really wish I could show you what I saw the next morning, but turns out the app really doesn't want me to take footage of it. Anyways, after I finished the sleep session, I immediately tried to review it, only for the phone screen to turn blindingly white. Yeah, I want to retroactively apologize for using white backgrounds in my older videos, but anyways, this is what we're looking for. 2 snore million points! Let's go! Just kidding, we're here for the graph above. Look at the line going up and down between the different types of sleep. So, what does any of this mean? Let's go over the stages of the sleep cycle. Depending on who you ask, the sleep cycle has 4 or 5 total stages, with one of them being REM stage, which is so special that the other stages are called non-REM stages. So the first non-REM stage is very light sleep. It's the first few minutes after dozing off when you can still be woken up pretty easily. But by the second stage, your heart rate slows down, muscles relax, and your body temperature goes down. Your brain still has bursts of energy called sleep spindles, and this is when your memories get stored to last longer. The third stage is deep sleep, when your body allows itself to heal. Strangely, this stage is when sleepwalking can occur. In medical terms, it's called somnambulance, som meaning sleep and ambulance actually meaning to walk, like ambling around. If you looked at your brain in an electroencephalogram, or EEG, the reported brainwaves would transition from alpha to theta and then finally delta waves. See, some reports split the aforementioned third stage with the transition from theta to delta being stage 3, but other places lump them into the same stage. Pokemon Sleep calls these 3 stages dozing, snoozing, and slumbering. Seems that the phone can tell by the movements I make in the night. But hold up, what is this last REM stage, and why is it so important that it gets to call the other stages non-REM stages? REM, or REM, is actually an acronym for Rapid Eye Movement. In this stage, your heart rate increases, your brainwaves act as if you're awake, and yeah, your eyes kinda move around. This is probably when dreams occur, as you organize memories and emotions and kinda get ready to wake back up again. But this sleep cycle repeats throughout the night until you actually wake up. Also in this stage, your body tries to paralyze itself, so that you don't end up acting out your dreams and hitting your surroundings. From the looks of it, Pokemon Sleep will recognize REM sleep in the dozing category. So that more or less explains the sleep research in Pokemon Sleep. Wait, hold on. What does the app want me to do now? Take photos of sleeping Pokemon, give them biscuits, and there's in-game currency? Of course, I don't think I'm the target demographic of the app, because if you're pretty busy, this takes a good 5 to 10 minutes of your morning, and even more if you want to dedicate your time feeding Snorlax. So couple that with the blinding light the app gave off, this made me check my sleep score only right before I slept the next day. But how is sleep in the mainline games? Since the very first games of Generation 1, sleep was a status condition that can affect a Pokemon in battle. Simply, a Pokemon that is asleep will not move that turn. This is a very strong status condition, that's so strong that the next 5 games of the series would keep on nerfing the effect. See, originally, sleep can last anywhere from 1 to 7 turns, and when the Mon wakes up, they couldn't even move that turn? Alright, so that's a lot. So in the mainline games of Generation 2, Game Freak heavily nerfs sleep, so that the sleep turns can last anywhere from 1 to 6 turns of sleep. But hey, at least when you wake up you could actually move that turn. Gen 3 further nerfs sleep to last 1 to 5 turns. And then Gen 5 nerfed it to last 1 to 3 turns. But if you switch out an asleep Pokemon, the counter of turns that it's been sleeping for resets when they come back in, until Generation 6 when they got rid of that rule. So sleep now randomly takes 1 to 3 turns. Ooh, is this a reference to the 3 non-REM stages of sleep? No, it's just a product of a bunch of nerfs. But could it be unintentionally accurate? Well, the issue is stages 2 and 3 of the sleep cycle actively makes it harder for you to wake up. But if 3 turns represent a whole night's worth of rest, I guess there are periods where it is easier to wake up. If we're counting stages as turns, I think a more accurate representation would be in the move Rest, which heals you, like the 3rd stage of sleep, and guarantees that you wake up after 2 turns. So I guess you could say the act of resting is like stage 1, and then 2 turns of sleeping is middling then deep sleep, before going REM to wake up. I want to emphasize that while it is fun to equate different turns of a game into different stages, you should recognize that these stages don't happen in the same time intervals. In fact, as the night goes on, your deep sleep stage actually gets shorter as your REM stage gets longer and you get more prepared to wake up. But game mechanics aren't the only place where Pokemon references sleep. In my Magnetism and Pokemon video, I showed that the same concept can be revisited multiple times and still have very unique designs. While Snorlax is known for sleeping in the first games, with them being the mandatory obstacle to overcome, the drowsy line from the same game are Bakus, which are Japanese myths that eat bad dreams. They used to be chimeras of various creatures, but later on they were likened to tapirs, explaining the drowsy line. But not just that line, but also Muna's line in Generation 5. These two are the same species and they're both psychic types, but while Drowsy focuses on hypnotizing other people to sleep, Muna is more about the dream aspect, as dreamy mist pours out of the evolution Musharna's head. Musharna also has these freaky eyes. If they twitched around, it would be a lovely reference to rapid eye movement, as dreams occur in the REM stage, but I think it just stares. Anime-wise, I guess Jigglypuff is popular for lulling others to sleep, but it seems more story-based other than any specific sleep stage. Well, lullabies can establish bedtime routines, which leads me to a distinction I wanted to make. With all the sleep cycle talk, you might have heard of a different term called circadian rhythm. A circadian rhythm is not the same as a sleep cycle. Circadian rhythm is a daily pattern, like when your bedtime is and when you wake up, while the sleep cycle are the steps that you make while you're asleep. Let's see. There's also the legendary Cresselia and mythical Darkrai to represent dreams and nightmares. More REM representation? Neato. From what I read, it just seems that nightmares are dreams that elicit bad emotions, but Darkrai also has an ability called Bad Dreams, which hurts every sleeping Pokemon at the end of the turn. Now there's a term called parasomnia. Parasomnia are unusual behaviors that relate to one's sleep. For example, sleepwalking is a type of parasomnia. In fact, parasomnias can be categorized whether they occur in the REM stage or in a non-REM stage or other symptoms. So there's something called a nightmare disorder, which is a REM-related parasomnia, where recurrent nightmares are so severe that it affects the person's life during the day. But then lastly, in Generation 7, there was a gimmick Pokemon named Komala, who is a koala hugging a lump of tree. Maybe. So the koala sleeps a lot, up to 20 hours a day. But the gimmick is that Komala cannot be inflicted by any status effect because they are asleep, or according to the ability, they are comatose. Being in a coma is likened to the non-REM deep sleep stage due to the very low brainwave frequencies and unconsciousness. You know, despite all these sleep-related Pokemon, the ones that most competitive players would call sleep-related are the mushrooms, because of a move called Spore that always puts the opponent to sleep, unless they're protected from powder moves. But spores actually have nothing to do with sleep. Mushrooms have spores, yes, but they're for reproducing. They might make others sneeze, but won't necessarily put others to sleep in our world. Alright, but the question remains. How can I represent sleep in a design? In the game I'm slowly developing, I want to feature science concepts translated into gameplay. Sleep felt like an important concept to include. So not only do I want a mechanic to reflect sleep in my game, I wanted to have a whole design based off of the concept. To represent the sleep cycle, Slothsome here has 4 forms. They would enter the battlefield in their dozing stage 1 form, but if they aren't inflicted by another status effect, they would continue into their other stages. When they enter their middling sleeping 2nd stage, their defenses grow as their heart rate gets slower and body gets colder. Slothsome can no longer be affected by any other condition from now on, as they are effectively asleep. In the next stage, Slothsome is in deep sleep, but they can still walk around, because this is where sleepwalking occurs. But most importantly, they heal some fraction of their HP, as deep sleep is when the body heals. And then they enter REM, when they are dreaming and mentally active, as they lower their defenses for offense. It's probably a gimmick that I need to playtest a lot in the future, but what I'm certain of right now is that I need some rest. I'm a terrible sleeper, but I think I came out of this experience learning something. Even if I ended up uninstalling the app, I did appreciate how it made me go to bed at a consistent hour. There's definitely some kind of psychology going on where even if you're okay of letting yourself down, you won't be okay of letting down Snorlax and Bob the Pikachu that believe in you. With all this talk about the sleep cycle, I think it's safe to say that every stage is important. So that's why it's so crucial to get some quality sleep. Thank you for listening to this episode on sleep, and especially thank you to my Patreon supporters for directly helping me out. You don't need me to remind you that you could always like the video and subscribe to the channel for free, but I'm planning some big projects in the future. And if I learned anything today, it's that I need some quality rest to do all that well. I also stream from time to time on Twitch at least, so catch me on my socials. Anyways, thank you again for watching, and I hope you could get some good rest tonight. Good night.